Thank you for listening to The Afternoon Pint. We are an independent podcast and we need your support. Please take a moment to hit that like, follow, and share button. Email us if you have an idea or suggestion for the show. Please send your feedback. We'd love to hear from you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome to the Afternoon Pint. I'm Mike Tobin.
I am Matt Conrad.
I'm Giles Crouch.
Good to see you again, Giles.
Good to
It's
see
lovely
you.
to see you guys again.
Thanks for popping by.
Yeah, well, you can't say no to a pint and a good chat. So,
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm really glad you're back. We're at Jungle Gyms. I'm doing the dry January still, and you're joining me on this one.
I am.
So thank you for
I
the
am not.
company. Matt is just going all in all year. He's not going to stop.
why not?
He's a
Why not?
warrior. What
Go-
can we say?
Go
Yeah.
big or go home.
That's right. Yeah,
That's right.
Exactly.
Nothing wrong with that either.
No, exactly.
Yeah. So you were on our show a year and a half ago, or maybe a little
Something
bit longer
like
than
maybe-
that,
I
eh?
think
Yeah.
about a year and a half. Yeah.
Yeah, and
It was
I mean,
June. I remember
You folks who
that.
didn't hear that show, Giles is a digital anthropologist, which is the coolest title we might have ever had on this show.
I honestly think it's either digital anthropologist or astrophysicist. I mean, really,
That's
those
pretty cool.
They're both cool titles.
That's neck and neck.
yeah.
That's neck and neck.
And we talked a ton about AI. And to think about, I mean, a year and a half ago to now, man, our conversation then was just like, what do you think's going to happen?
Yeah.
And now it's happened.
It's
and
happened.
then
It's
some.
happening. Yeah.
And then like
some.
it was
Yeah.
like all the things you predicted in that episode and said were going to come to fruition came to fruition.
Oh, yeah.
And then it went beyond that, right? Your predictions were pretty well bang on. So that's pretty fascinating in itself. So kudos to that.
Well, thank you.
So
Honestly, like I know you were saying it's one of your favorite episodes. It was one of my favorite episodes to sit and chat with you. And I think it's one that we did need to kind of cover off a little bit more of because AI is used everywhere for the most part now. And I think probably more than ever, we're actually seeing, we see great divides in a lot of things in society today. And I think we're seeing it in AI. The people who are terrified, don't want to use it, stay away from it, like kill it.
Yeah.
And
Right.
then there's, I use it every day. And I think we all use it every day at
And
this
it's a
table.
singularity and it's a future. Yeah. Well, the
Yeah.
funny thing is there's actually no such thing as artificial intelligence. AI isn't a thing. It was a term made up in the mid-50s by a college kid who was looking for funding for a summer program.
Oh,
And he used the words artificial intelligence and
Brilliant.
they liked it. And then sort of it just seeped into computer science as a whole and we've called it AI. So the
No
way,
way.
Yeah. So the way to think of AI is that it's an umbrella term. It's a marketing term for a toolbox of technologies. It's a toolbox really. And so inside there, you've got natural language processing, machine learning, and what we all talk about today, generative AI. So when most people say AI, what they're talking about is large language models like ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini and Copilot. And stuff.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, but we all call it AI. So I call it AI too.
Well, the big thing that I took away from our last session was actually you really dampened a lot of the fear that like I even would have remotely had for it, which was, I remember you said something like that for basically for AI to become as intelligent and have the capability of a human brain, it would have to essentially use up all the resources on Earth, like in a short amount of time. Like there's not enough resources on Earth for it to actually overthrow us.
Yeah. There isn't. And there still isn't. And in fact, it's gotten worse because it's even harder to extract the minerals now. You've got China that controls 90% of the rare earth materials or minerals that are needed. They can't build enough chips to go in all the devices we have,
Right.
all the data centers that they want to build.
Yeah.
And
just even the PlayStation was delayed. Their production on the
Yeah.
next PlayStation's delayed because of RAM.
yeah.
They don't have enough RAM.
And I
to
mean,
make another PlayStation.
and there's the actual cooling and the wastewater. And
Yeah.
I've done a lot more reading about like how the wastewater that happens and like
Yeah.
the environmental impacts
Mm-hmm.
of AI and all that stuff and how much that people may not realize. But, looking on Google versus using ChatGPT to do basic Google searches is using so much more energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not so much the water that's the danger. It's the energy use, but it's also the low level sounds. So a lot of these communities where they in the US where they built these data centers very close to suburbs, what they found is that they create these low generation hums.
Oh.
People are getting headaches. They can't sleep. There was a CBS interview with a guy. He had to move his whole family into the basement of his house and basically build a Faraday cage.
No way.
That's where they have to sleep because they're like 300 feet from a data center.
So how do we stop? Like how do we embrace AI while mitigating that?
Yeah, it's a real challenge. I don't think they're going to build out the data center infrastructure that they talk about, that they want. but we're going to see a lot more of them. And then there's the challenge of how do you regulate enough that it keeps innovation going,
right,
but at the same time protects people, so it's environmental concerns, it's psychological concerns. We have parasocial relationships, and they talk about AI psychosis. So you've got to find that balance. The EU has gone a little bit too strong on it, too fast. The US is doing absolutely no regulations, really. It's leaving it up to the courts, and that's where that battle's going.
Where do you feel it is in Canada?
We have absolutely no AI policy, and our privacy policy and data policies are about 26 years old now.
Okay.
So they're completely out of date, and there's absolutely no relevance whatsoever.
Wow.
So we have pretty much no protections in Canada, from data privacy to how our data is used, all the rest of it.
I mean, I can tell you from an insurance standpoint, I mean, AI and deepfakes and all those things are on the rise. Like, cyber insurance really should be the number one thing that people are focusing on. And then I remember trying to teach some stuff to people, like, even if you're a carpenter, even if you're a builder, and some of these builders, these guys are like, I don't deal with anything computers. I literally just build stuff. So why do, as a carpenter, do I need to, or as a person who's a developer, why do I need, it's like cyber insurance. It's like, well, do you electronically pay people? Because that can be hacked.
Yeah.
That, like, you
all
can
your
have
accounts.
all your accounts can be hacked, or someone can send you a really good looking email from a subcontractor that you think you deal with, and you send them $50,000 thinking like, yeah, there you go. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, who did I just send that to?
Right.
And that's not covered through your regular liability policies.
Nope.
That's actually covered. You have to have cyber coverage. So even the plumber, even the builder needs to have that.
We were
cyber
talking about just before the show. If you don't want to share this, you don't have to, but you just personally, first-handedly experienced a hack.
Yeah, I had a major hack back in, I think it was late November, early December, and I was targeted because I have enough of an online profile to be of an interest where people can validate that I'm a real human being.
Right.
So they put my image on dating sites, they hacked into my Facebook, or they got into my Gmail, they got my bank account, like everything. It was a disaster.
And I imagine you probably don't have simple passwords.
No, I don't.
Because you know this industry so intimately.
Right.
So you had very complex passwords.
And I use two-factor authentication, and I use authenticators.
Wow.
Too.
So you're not using the puppy,
No.
whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
So the big
Matt,
question,
Matt 123. That's it.
yeah, that one, yeah. The big question is though, did you get any good dates out of it?
No, Jeremy, because they redirected the email, so I don't know if any women liked me.
Why did they put you on dating profiles just so they could use your likeness to attract people and then take money from them?
Well, it's the Brad
That's
Pitt thing that we
exactly it.
talked about.
Yeah, it's the Brad Pitt thing.
So it's
the Brad Pitt
the old
scamming.
catfish game.
Yeah.
Okay.
You start dating, you talk, whatever, you gain the trust of somebody, and next thing you know, it's like, hey, you know what? Like, I need $10,000 or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And you start asking, like, they just have people asking and working, and then obviously people are dating, and you're pulling at their heartstrings, right?
Yeah.
You rob people based on love.
And this is what comes down to parasocial relationships. And this is part of the problem with AI. And a parasocial relationship, you can think, probably one of the most modern terms is like Taylor Swift and the Swifties. Right? So we have an artist and we get involved with them and we form this parasocial relationship that doesn't really exist, but we get all these ideas about them. And it actually goes back to ancient times and totemic worship. So when we were in our hunter-gatherer times and our foraging times, we'd make these totems and we would talk to them. And then in ancient Egypt, they had these giant oracles. And they were like massive statues, and the mouth moved, and sometimes the arms and eyes and head moved. And inside that oracle was a priest. And so all the local adherents, the followers, they would go and ask the oracle questions, and the priest would be inside talking, and the mouth would move. And they thought that was real.
Like Woody the Christmas tree.
Like Woody the Christmas tree.
That's awesome.
Egyptian version. Yeah. And so parasocial relationships is something we've had for a long time. And now that's why we see AI psychosis.
Okay.
So people that believe.
You just feel you're so into it. And if you have enough rum and you're talking to the thing, you can start to say, geez, whoa.
Well, there was one guy who thought the ChatGPT told him he'd invented a whole new form of math. Right. And that he needed to go tell the FBI and the CIA and all the rest.
I saw that article. The guy in Ontario.
Yeah. And
Okay, I missed that one.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I do know that there's some other serious things. Like, I mean, I know there's some people, there's some like a serious one that came out recently where a guy decided to end his life because basically ChatGPT told him to do it.
Yeah, it showed him the methods on how to do it and convinced him and told him not even to tell his parents or anybody else.
Yeah.
And then there's the Church of ChatGPT.
Well, how does that happen? How does it get that dark that quick with that individual? It's just, is it trying to give you back what you want to hear? So it's telling you to, right. It's basically a mirror, right?
It is a mirror, and they're actually designed to keep you engaged. Mm-hmm. That's the whole purpose. They want, the more you use it, the more likely you become a paying customer. And once you become a paying customer, they want to keep you there.
Yeah.
Right? Even though it's like $15, $20 a month and they're losing money on everything, they still want you there.
Well, they want to show revenue, yeah.
They need to show revenue because, and the more users that they have, then the easier it is to get investment, right? So,
and government funding.
Yeah, and government funding. And there's, when a technology comes into the world, there's basically three roles that we see in culture. One is you have the prophets, you have the engineers, and you have the skeptics. So the prophets are the Musks, the Altmans of the world, and their job is to hype the technology because they have a financial interest in it.
Yeah.
The engineers are the ones that actually figure out how to do things.
Yep.
They take the technologies and make it work. And then skeptics are the people that question it.
Right.
And some of them might hate the technology, but a lot of them, they just kind of question it. They don't know what it is, and so we're curious about it. And then
I think that's healthy, though, right?
Very healthy.
I mean, you need that's the whole devil's advocate of, like, why not to choose a pope, right, kind of thing. Right?
Yeah, it's cultural tensions that are necessary, and culture is the ultimate arbiter of all technologies.
Yeah.
No technology has ever survived culture, and we're very we don't adopt a technology; we actually domesticate it. And people talk about technology adoption, but we adopted it in society, but we did domesticate it. So when, agriculture came along, we domesticated cows, we domesticated plants. When any other technologies come along, we did the same thing with newspapers and printing presses as we figured that out. We go through this moral panic phase, and everybody freaks out, which is where we are with AI today.
Yeah.
That actually, I'd like to get your thoughts on something, because that kind of triggered something. Is what I've been seeing a lot lately online is basically, it's like, here's the top 50 or 100 jobs that are going to be obsolete in the next 20 years because of AI.
Right, they're everywhere now.
They're everywhere. But then it starts off like fear of AI, and then it almost feels like it's kind of like we want you to be afraid of it. Like, it almost feels like it's an ad to like make you hate it. Yeah. But then they flip it and say, and here's why you need to use it, because that's the only way you can stay relevant.
Well, absolutely, right? Those are the prophets, if you will, that are putting it out there. Probably most of the jobs that they've got in there, they used AI to generate the jobs, right? And the thing about large language models like ChatGPT is they're only as good as the data they were trained on, and that data's old. So they're not current, and they're also stochastic parrots. Right. So all they are statistical machines. They cannot think, they cannot reason. None of that exists. No matter how much you hear Hinton or others say they're thinking and they're reasoning, then they're absolutely not.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when it says thinking, because you can drop your ChatGPT down, put it in thinking version or a regular version. Well, I choose the thinking version.
But would you choose a version that said statistical processing in place now?
Doesn't sound as cool as thinking.
No, it doesn't.
No, actually, I think it sounds kind of cooler in my opinion, but whatever.
It does. So they're only telling us what we already know. They're rear view mirrors.
Yeah.
And they're reflecting back on the knowledge that we have. They can't generate new knowledge. You think that they're generating new knowledge, but they're not. They're being able to access a vast amount of data, more than we can and more than we can process. So when things come back and look novel and new to us, we think that they are, but they're actually not.
We talked about this before too, like before we were setting up here. But for me, like the reason why I've used it, I mean, the fear, like our last episode, you pushed away a lot of that fear that I had going into it. So I kind of felt like, okay, I'm good, kind of just dive in. And then the other part of it was that, being diagnosed with ADHD and kind of researching that and realizing certain things, I've come to realize that using AI or chat or whatever you want, whatever AI out there, and ADHD together has become a little bit of a superpower for me.
Yeah.
It gets me over that task paralysis. It gets
same as you.
So much in 2025, I can't even count. And in going forward, so much organization for this year is already done.
Well, it gets that 25 to like 50% of the start done in minutes or seconds or whatever. Yeah. And then I'm kind of like, oh, well, now I feel like the project's already started, and now I can just edit, and then I can just go in there and change it the way I like it.
To do the fun bits and kind of like it's like a sculpture, right? Like, the shittiest part of the sculpture is getting all that clay in there and just standing it up on top of each other. Like, think of making Michelangelo.
Yeah.
When I'm writing articles and doing my research, I use it as a research tool.
Right.
Yeah. But as I have enough education and background in anthropology, I'm able to see when it makes mistakes, when it hallucinates or something is wrong. And then I use it to write. Right. But I never get it to write my content because I have my voice. I like my voice, and that's the way I like to write. But what you guys are doing, what we're all doing now, is a process of cognitive scaffolding. And this goes back to how we've used all cognitive technologies throughout history. Like when writing came along, Socrates said, that's it, memory's done. We're not going to remember anything. We got to keep memorizing, and we can't write things down. And I always say, well, it's a good thing Plato wrote that down. And here we are. So we did the same thing with the printing press. And we like to cognitively offload because our brains can only do so much and have so much energy. Right. And every time we've had these new cognitive technologies come along, we scaffold them and we figure out. So we've freaked out with AI and it's going to take everything away from us. Right. These large language models, they're only so good. They're getting better and they're going to do okay. But we're pretty interrogative as a species. Like, we're aggressive. Mm-hmm. And when we get a technology in that we're not sure about, we're going to find a way to pick at it and find all the weaknesses and the strengths. And we're punching AI in the face.
And to that point, I actually feel that print is going to make a bit of a strong comeback and be even more important because of deepfakes and fake information and misinformation and fake news and all this other stuff.
Yeah. In times of war and stuff, it definitely could.
We're going to need to have things written down on paper because we're going to need to know what actually happened.
Maybe the newspapers will come back.
That'd be cool.
That actually would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's also another thing about printed books that's, print is an experienced product. Mm-hmm. We want to sit down, we want to have a good read, maybe a cup of tea or coffee or drink, and we want to read a book, a really good one, or a newspaper or a magazine. And so AI isn't that. Digital devices aren't that. We don't remember as much with them, and they're a sort of a cognitive technology that requires constant input, whereas books don't.
I agree with that because thinking and reflecting on what you're saying there, I think that I can almost not always memorize something. I don't have to memorize something because I can just say, like, I'll just play it for you.
Yeah.
I have it. I'll just play it for you.
Yeah.
Whereas if you read something, you kind of have to remember what it was because I can't necessarily just pull it out and be like, when we're having a conversation here and I just can't pull the book out and be like, here, on page 164.
Yeah, because you can carry that around.
But I can easily just go like, let me just show it to you right now. I'll just
100%.
Play what I heard, right?
And it's nice with digital because we can cognitively offload, and books require us to think. And there's lots of research that proves that we retain print and written content better than we do digital.
Okay, I saw something neat. Not too long ago. You might know this. About how long it took humans to just be able to read and how crazy of a thing that was for our brains just to do initially.
It's phenomenal. I mean, even just the simple concept of the first technology. Can you imagine? You're sitting around the campfire, and this is like, I don't know, 40,000 years, 100,000 years ago, and all of a sudden, then they've made pokey sticks or something to kill a mastodon, and they go back to the fire. And someone sitting there, and she's got, this one of the cave women, she sat there and she smashed together a stone and she sees a sharp edge and she says, oh, I can cut a T-bone steak out of this mastodon. And then someone else goes, why don't we put it on the fire? And that started barbecues.
Right. Yeah.
But the cultural impact at that time, all the other people in that clan would have looked at her and him and said, you guys are nuts. We can't do that. The whole thing is we rip the meat off. We eat it with our mouths.
Right.
Like, that was enormous cognitive change in Homo sapiens, which we probably took from the Neanderthals or the Denisovans anyway.
As an anthropologist, take the digital part out, there always seems to be in society not to take the political names out of it, but there always seems to be the conservative and the liberal or the progressive, whatever word you want to use for it, of the people that are like, why change? Yes. And then there's the people like, why not?
Yeah, exactly.
And ages of I saw something else the other day. I won't cite the source because I can't remember what it was, but we might be in the age of empire right now, right? Yeah. Which is a scary thought.
Yes, it is.
But it could be very true of where we are getting back into dominant players in a hemisphere race for supremacy in a sense, and that's a crazy thing to think. We've rode this democracy train here for a while. It was pretty darn nice.
Yeah.
Like, it was really good for a lot of us, not for all of us, but man, we had a lot of wins.
Yeah.
So
it was the greatest period of global stability that we've ever had.
Right. And so these empires rise and then they collapse and then they get back into the kind of rinse and repeat. I saw there was 7 stages, 0 to 7, and we're almost at the bad one.
Yeah.
It feels like it.
End of a cycle.
It really feels like
it was in a psychology. I read the weirdest thing the other week, and I don't know how I fell into it. Jeez, I'll find it. If I find it, I'll send it to you. But I'm sorry, I can't quote it right now. But it was different ages of like how humans go in cycles of different ages.
And much of these cycles are driven by information technologies, whether that's writing or cuneiform and pottery and cave painting.
But it makes sense because there's so much pushback and there's so much uncertainty and fragility. And now all of a sudden it's a really good time to cover manipulation. Or I wonder if they're also moved by disasters, so things such like as COVID, where people are forced out of their norms and then they...
It doesn't help. I mean, even the first vaccines that came out, they were made in cows. Yeah. And they created all these pamphlets of people that were against the vaccines. And the images were like cow heads growing out of people's arms and hoofs out of their heads and stuff.
Awesome.
Same thing with like I saw this stuff with like seatbelts. When seatbelts were first mandatory, everyone was like against it and they had all their reasoning for it. And eventually it just becomes kind of normal, I think. Yeah. But listen, I've only been on this earth for 40 years. But I feel that in the last year, it's the first year that I feel that we've stepped back in progression, like kind of thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of us feel that way, and it's because of the flood of misinformation and disinformation. But, we actually have the lowest poverty rates in human history.
No, in a lot of ways, you're right. A lot of things, it's still the best.
Yeah, it's still the best, but it's awful at the same time.
Yeah, and it may, and I'm willing to maybe accept the fact that maybe it's like recency bias, where it's like everything's been so great that when anything not great happens, I'm kind of like, ugh.
Well, and now there's a lot of not great happening. You've got war in Ukraine, you've got Trump in the States and what's happening down there, and
Venezuela stuff and all the stuff, right? Like,
there's just so much stuff. It used to be a time you'd have time to digest one news story to the next, but now it's just impossible. Like we did our, by the time we had Andy's episode come out last week, the mayor, and between what happened when we recorded that episode and now sitting here with you, I'm so much happier that there's a week turnaround between this episode coming out because 3 weeks from now, this episode could be entirely irrelevant.
It could be. Might be living under a new empire.
It's just moving so fast. It's just like, holy smokes.
It's part of it is like when you said keeping up with the newspaper article. So all these information technologies, especially AI today and social media, and because we all have devices in our pockets, that's cultural transmission. So it enables, we used to have a lot of space between cultures and societies. So we had time to process the changes and evolve the changes.
Right.
But it's all surface level today. And that's surface cultural change, but deep-rooted cultural change, like our norms, values, behaviors, our rituals and traditions, all of those actually take decades, sometimes centuries to actually change. They're much slower than what we think they are. And that's the thing with AI is that the technology is advancing rapidly, but not as rapidly as we think it is.
Yeah.
And it has constraints on it. We can't mine enough minerals to make all the chips and the data centers and even the humanoid robots. They talk about...
Yeah, you were talking about the elbows and like the screws and stuff.
So the bottleneck for humanoid robots, aside from just we can't mine enough minerals to make them, is these particular screws that have to go in all the joints.
Okay.
And there's only 2 factories in the world that can make them, and they can't keep up with the demand now. They're actually bogged down.
So like my question to that would be, why are there only 2 and why can't we do something different?
Well, there's a component used in all computer chips, and there's only one company in the entire world that makes them, and they're in the Netherlands. And it's...
Why can't other people make them?
I know, right? And I'm thinking like, okay, if there's only one and there's such demand, why hasn't someone else built another factory? I don't know.
I'm going to go completely way off on a little tangent here, but it's the same thing about how mad I get about why Quebec can only be the only ones that make proper cheese curds and why we can't. I ask this every time I go to Quebec and I come back, I'm like, why can't someone in Nova Scotia just make cheese curds? Or why can't someone from Quebec move to Nova Scotia and make proper cheese curds?
That should be a business idea for you this year. Figure it out, man.
Yeah.
And
seriously,
do it.
Maybe there's not
you could
enough.
Be the guy.
Maybe there's not enough market. It could be unique bacteria that plays a role in the cheese making. I have no idea.
But that can't be unique bacteria in the Netherlands that making synthetic.
Cows. No, French cows. That's the secret. That's French cows. They're English cows.
Yeah.
But why can't another company find out what they're doing and replicate it? I mean, we have competition all the time for many different things.
It's a challenge. It's probably the capital investment that's required, plus patents that protect the intellectual property of these. And so someone else has to find a different way of doing it. And that's extraordinarily expensive. And we also don't have the mining capacity to extract the resources from the earth, not only for chips and not only for robots, but for pretty much any devices. If we want to
batteries are
we want to have 10 million robots, as Musk says, in about 4 or 5 years. We're all going to have to stop buying new iPhones and laptops and tablets. That would be the end of it.
What you're telling me is I'm not going to have a robot made in the next 10 years.
Unfortunately, no.
Maybe if it's made out of Jell-O.
Maybe it's and the other thing is humanoid robot factors are really lousy.
Okay.
They're not a good form factor. And I have a good friend. He's a human form factor designer down in the States, Charles Morrow. And he said, humanoid robots don't make any sense. We're actually really bad at doing things. When we're walking downstairs, we're literally falling downstairs.
Yeah.
And we're falling upstairs when we're walking upstairs. So the dexterity that's required and the brain processing energy that we use as human beings is incredibly low. We only use 300 hertz or something, whereas a robot needs to use 500 and some hertz per second. So they have massive amounts of energy requirements. They can't get the dexterity to them. And they don't really make a lot of sense. It would make more sense to have a thing in your kitchen that's on tracks that has 8 arms and can do 5,000 things at one time.
Yeah.
That's a better form factor.
Spider trains.
Spider trains.
Jello bots. No elbows.
Spider
elbows
Chef
required.
in your kitchen. Spider Chef 2000.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's, and so when it kind of, I guess, switching over, I mean, not just, this whole conversation doesn't be at AI, but actual digital anthropology, what do you think, if you were to put kind of fast forward in 50 years, what do you think people, when we look back on our digital footprint that we're doing, what do you think people are going to study and conclude from our digital footprint?
Yeah, so I've thought about this a fair bit. I think we're going to do more of the arts. I think we're going to have a return to the humanities.
Love that.
Anthropology, sociology, psychology kind of got shoved to the back end of the campus.
Yeah.
You go in the moldy old halls in the back, and we're going to build these temples to business and technology as the computer science and business schools. A lot of this AI is going to start to augment us. And there's even some research that's been done that shows that AI gets better when humans get better with AI. And we got better with writing. We got better with printing and books. And I think we're going to do the same thing. We're going to cooperate with AI, and we're going to scaffold in a way that makes us all better. And we'll come back to the humanities. Are we going to have universal high income, whatever that is, and Musk calls it, in universal basic income? We may have to in some societies. But I think it'll be a temporary thing. Our capitalist model is changing. We're in late-stage capitalism. Yeah. We're going to go through a bit of a crapshoot over the next 10 to 15 years. It's going to be very messy. And no one can predict exactly what's going to happen. My only prediction is going to be very messy as we figure out these technologies and how to use them. All these prognostications of Musk and Hinton and all the rest, AI is not going to take us over. We're probably not going to reach artificial general intelligence and super intelligence, and they keep coming up with new terms because they have to move the needle to get the investment.
Right.
So we're not going to, that's so far away, it's not even funny. I'm not at all worried about it.
You think hard times are ahead for the working class, though?
The working class, if you're in the blue collar and trades, you're aces.
Oh, yeah. I guess more so the jobs, marketing jobs, accounting jobs, jobs that can actually be done. Even legal jobs could be at risk because, all the things a lawyer can do, maybe not represent somebody in court, but many of the...
But like online wills and estates and like...
documents, contracts.
Real estate stuff.
Like simpler template stuff.
Simpler things, yeah.
I don't think we're going to get rid of doctors or lawyers. The large language models that they're using for doctors and legal work, the more you train on, the more data you give them, and the more complex you make the questions, the more they hallucinate.
Okay.
So they make mistakes right now.
Can you explain hallucinating just so people...
Yeah, so it's kind of a bad term. When they say hallucinate, it means that it makes a mistake.
Yeah.
Because it cannot process, it doesn't know statistically what comes next. So it just makes something up. It just throws something in, and they call that a hallucination. And what they found
call it
is...
a liar.
A liar. Yeah, that's even better.
Liar, pants on fire.
Couldn't you just say, I don't know? I've been doing that my whole life.
Yeah.
You can
easy.
if you
Way easier.
tell them to say, I don't know. But even then, they have a challenge.
Right.
So we're not losing lawyers or doctors anytime soon.
Yeah.
But we're going to augment them. Doctors and nurses and lawyers are going to have access to this vast trove of data, and they're going to be able to process things very quickly, but they will be trained. The way humans think is very different because machines don't think at all. But we think and we put together abstractions in very innovative and novel ways, especially when we work together. And that's why we're social creatures. So we're still going to do that, but it's going to change entry-level job positions.
Yeah.
We're already seeing that impact in the workforce. So we're going to have to figure out what education do we give to people, and that's why I think the humanities will come back in.
That's the thing is, like, when I think of doctors, for example, like AI is going to help the family doctor, help diagnose you, right? It'll have its own database, and they'll obviously put in the symptoms of things and help it be more accurate, as opposed to Googling your symptoms kind of thing.
Yeah.
But where AI is never going to help is it's not going to help the heart surgeon or the brain surgeon, right?
No.
You need those specialists who are going to go in because it's just not going to fix your whatever, right?
Yeah, we already see in medical surgery, now, they're using robots.
Yeah.
But
someone's controlling that robot, though.
Exactly. It's a human, it's a
they
surgeon.
They have the precision because robots aren't shaky like we are.
Yeah.
But someone's still controlling the robot,
and we're
right?
cuts, and now they can make more precise cuts, and they can make thinner cuts and do all kinds of amazing stuff. We're going to see huge leaps in human healthcare.
I agree with you. I talk about this with my wife all the time. I actually think I'm also Neil deGrasse Tyson fan, so I kind of listen to him too.
Great. Yeah.
But I actually think in the next 30 to 40 years, I actually think we could borderline on achieving immortality.
Yeah, I think we're getting awfully close to it. And then we have to ask the question, do we want to be immortal?
Yes.
You have
100%.
I'd kind of like to live a long time. I've got a lot of things I want to do.
I have a lot of things I want to do, but also I want to know what happens.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
FOMO.
Yeah.
Some people miss out on some people's FOMO is oh man, I miss out on that awesome party. I miss out on when are we going to discover life in another solar system? What's going to happen in space? I'm a big space guy, right?
Yeah.
If we could live for 100,000 years, send me out on a spaceship. And I will, me and my family will go out and discover the solar system.
And you've got the transhumanists and the effective accelerationists that say we're going to download our brain to a computer.
There's that too.
Right, which I don't think. I think that's going to be really hard to do because silicon isn't the way to do it. But they're already working with brain neurons. And if we can figure out how to use brain cells and actually grow organically, biological biocomputing, I think that's the future where we might upload our brains to a
But then you have to ask yourselves, is that just has that just become AI to a degree, or the memory of what once existed and it's no longer you?
Well,
that's a philosophical question.
It was also in Aliens.
There's
the new Alien series.
Great book by an anthropologist in Chicago. I'm trying to remember her name now. About Jenny Huberman, and it's about the transhumanist movement.
Yeah,
and what happens if we because every culture has its ways of ancestor worship, right? Dealing with funerals and death, and we're really lousy at it in a Western European sense, and other cultures have really good ones. And like you look at indigenous cultures in the Mi'kmaq here, they have beautiful ways of celebrating their ancestors and ancestor worship. But what happens if you upload your brain, and then your great-great-great-grandkids can go and talk to you? Like,
that's pretty sick, though.
But is it you? Because what if you're in there and you're uploaded as Mike, and now Mike wants to be an astrophysicist, so he makes a copy of Mike and then goes and does astrophysics, and the other one wants to be you know, a carpenter or whatever else, right? Now, are those copies you?
No, exactly. That's the philosophical
question. The moment they
question.
leave the station, they become their own person because they've went another path.
To clone.
Right? It's like if you chose to talk to that person and make friends with them or whatever you've done in your life.
But then,
I just want to live forever. Just as me.
But then what's a person, right? Because we have this thing called habitus. So we all have habitus. And our habitus is who we are as individuals. And it's a result of, we start, and our habitus changes. It's our personal operating system, if you will. And that evolves throughout our lives. And it's obviously not the same as we were as a baby, but as we learn language and we are embedded in a culture, the foods we eat, the celebrations that we have, the rituals that we learn, the norms, behaviors, that forms our habitus.
Right.
As we move and progress through life, we're constantly upgrading that software and changing it. And then culture is the operating system for humanity, because biological evolution was way too slow for us. So we figured out culture. And culture it's most people think of pop culture, music, and the arts. Well, that's the aesthetics of culture, but it includes our economic systems, social governance, military, political systems, all the rest of it.
Right.
Yeah. And culture is a very complex word.
And don't get me wrong, I do recognize the fact that if we don't die, we need to figure something out, because we can't just be like a trillion people on this planet. But that's where, moving to the moon, Mars, and all that stuff actually needs to start taking place, where we actually start colonizing, greater than. And you know what? 4 months to Mars is not such a big deal if you get to live forever, right?
Well, it'd be nice if we could live on Mars. All the science says we can't live very long. You've got a toxic environment. Martian sand is very different, gets into everything. The air is toxic. Plus, it's so low gravity that, what happens... So say we figure out how to go live on Mars.
Right.
And we're there, and then 3 or 4 generations are born on Mars. Are they still human? Are they still Homo sapiens? Or are they Homo Martianus? Right.
That's a good question. I never thought of it that way.
Because we know we're Homo, but there's Homo africanus. There's Homo denisovans. There's Neanderthals.
Yeah.
There's all these spin-offs of the tree where we came from. There's that picture of the ape turning into the man that we've all seen. Yeah. That's complete crap, right? That's not how we evolved.
No, right,
at all.
Exactly. No,
it's very kind of winding and twisting. So at what point would we say, okay, they're not humans anymore?
That's interesting.
At the moment, the first one's not born on their home planet, they're not a human.
But are they? They maybe.
Maybe it takes time for them to evolve. That's a great question. Because it could take time for them to adapt to those, like you said, those pressures, and then before someone could actually jump again.
Right. So it's low gravity. So
they would have to
be 8 feet tall.
That was going to say how they adjust and how they live. And the gravity would be different. I mean, they'd have to obviously, if they're going to create these cities on Mars and everything. Now, Musk seems to think that he's going to be able to activate something that's changing it.
Musk.
I know. That's a whole other thing, right?
Aside from his political views, but he's come up with a lot of ideas, and none of them have really come true. We're supposed to have robo-taxis by now, autonomous driving. We still don't have it. They haven't figured out autonomous cars in the Canadian climate.
Yeah,
I honestly, truly I think Teslas are cool, and I think a lot of the stuff that he does is pretty cool. The whole going to Mars, stuff like that, I think is pretty cool. That being said, at the same time, I actually think he's one of the history's greatest charlatans.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
The reason why I say that is because, one, I hate the fact that he can say and do anything and manipulate entire markets, whether it be cryptocurrency or the regular currency, like the stock market. That's incredibly frustrating and highly irresponsible that he, in a single tweet, he can lose someone's life savings and things like that.
Yeah.
So he's highly irresponsible in that regard. He's highly emotional. I don't think he's as intelligent as people, or he likes to claim him to be, because he reacts like when he and Trump were best friends, and then all of a sudden it was like, not Trump was on Epstein Island, and he's tweeting all these things and he's attacking him. He's a highly emotional person.
Yeah, he's very volatile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and on top of a lot of these other things that he's, as you keep, he's the profits, the selling of the things, and just it seems that he's always constantly.
He's sort of filling a role like him and these others that talk about this age of abundance, and nobody knows what that is, and it's complete bunk. But we've always had these kind of prophets in societies, and it goes back a long time. Like one of the first technology hype cycles was the hot air balloon back in the 18th century.
Look at that right there. No way. It's literally on the TV right there.
Oh my God, that's brilliant.
That's crazy.
That is funny.
There's still a thing. Hot air balloons.
This is still. I must have getting the psycho message.
Seriously,
This episode has been brought to you by balloons.
The guy that launched the hot air balloon, it was these two brothers in the late 1700s in Paris, and everybody was amazed. So much so that even architecture and furniture incorporated balloon motifs and themes in them, and clothing and all the rest of it. And he made millions of dollars and said we were going to the moon.
On the balloon.
Yeah, on a balloon. I mean,
The light turned on.
hey, who needs air? Right?
Yeah.
And he made millions. And he was, these hypers. And when the railroads came out, there was the same thing that happened. So Musk is kind of necessary in a way in society.
Oh, yeah. I mean, at home I have like a book. It was just a book of Leonardo da Vinci's inventions and drawings. And I loved looking through it. It was one of page for page. And it's a bunch of friggin' nonsense. Like, that book is 95% nonsense. And then a couple like, whoa, shit, that's a good idea. And then there's a couple things where he was ahead of his time. And he was trying to think out an airplane. And he was trying to think out many things that, ended up happening.
Yeah.
But he was just, almost
those
a maniac,
guys.
right?
It's like we've always, something that goes back for thousands of years is that we've always had utopias and ideas of utopia.
Yeah.
And as well as dystopia. I mean, North Korea is a dystopia. And we've had them, the Nazi regime was a dystopia, and, Venezuela, the dictators. But we've never quite reached a utopia.
Right.
But we love the idea of it, and it's something that gives us hope. It serves a very important function within society, within culture, to have these utopian ideas. And that's what Musk is selling and Altman is selling and all the rest of it when they talk about universal high income and basic income and all the rest.
The only thing I would call out on, like, with him when he's trying to sell that stuff is, like, to me, when I think if we could achieve an actual, like, utopia, like, and you can tell me if you would agree with this or not, but like Star Trek looks to me like that would be the most probable form of utopia.
Yeah, it's
kind
of
agreed. Yeah. It's a cool idea, like in the future, that everyone just kind of contributes and everyone does all right.
I mean, they still have their problems. I mean, like there's still racism within like Earth and Klingons and Romulans and things like. They still cover the topics that we deal with today, but Earth is one government for the betterment of people. Yeah. There's a federation for the betterment of the universe.
So we'll just say right now, Matt is pro-globalism, is what he's saying.
I probably would be.
Yeah. No,
I mean, realistically, I understand we have to have like certain restrictions in terms of like, there's certain people, there's certain leaders of the world that I would not want to be the leader of the world.
Yeah.
And then there's certain leaders that I would probably be okay with them being the leaders of the world.
And we have always throughout history, we've preferred egalitarian societies. That's been our preferred operating system. So democracies are very different and they change and they have different ideals. I mean, even the initial idea of American democracy was borrowed more from the Greeks. Yeah. And Greek democracy is for the elites. It's not for the population. Like, it's not, women shouldn't vote, and if you're poor, you shouldn't vote at all,
right? Whether
you're male or female. So it's the original idea of the states wasn't the kind of democracy that evolved to be into today,
right?
And or many democracies. And there's even some argument that Western democracy is not really as democratic as we think it is. But we prefer these egalitarian societies. That's how we like to organize. We like it when people are more on a level. And everybody says, the Nordic countries, they're socialist. And it's like, they're actually more capitalist than the States. Like,
wow.
Yeah. They pay high taxes, but they encourage millionaires and billionaires. But they tax them appropriately and they give back into society.
I think that's a whole shift, because a mentality shift of what it is. It's like, because I would agree with that mentality. It's like, let's try to make as many millionaires as we possibly can, but make sure that they pay their share and they're not evading taxes and not contributing to society like they should be, kind of thing.
And that you have universal health care and
then you have to have all those things, right? We want universal health care. We want proper education. Like, those are all things, like, healthy people and educational people are good for society. Why are we fighting against that?
I know, right? But they are down in the States because it's libertarianism, and it's the ultimate libertarianism, and it's this twisted view of Christian, if you will, nationalism,
right,
and self-identity and all the rest of it. And they're rewriting. They talk about history being rewritten, but they're actually rewriting it. They went through this back in the 1950s with the Ku Klux Klan, which actually had a huge number of people in Congress.
Yeah,
it was a really scary time, and they were trying it. And then in the or maybe it was the 20s, and then the 30s came along the technocracy and the technocrats, and their whole idea of society, which you see in effective accelerationism today, is that we'll all be governed by engineers,
right?
And they'll make all the decisions, and everything can be done systematically and properly, and we'll just all hail the engineer.
See, I actually think that Canada, to a lesser degree, but like with the the United States was founded on, and I know this is going to be a triggering word or triggering sentence for some people who's listening, but the United States was essentially founded on a like one world order type of thing.
Yeah.
Because they said, let's take everybody. Because anyone can be an American, but not everyone can be an African, not everyone can be a German, not everyone can, it's one, but everyone can be an American and everyone can be a Canadian. Like we founded Canada and America and the United States based on immigration. The country was colonization, obviously. But then as it developed, it became immigration, right?
Yeah.
And we were basically like, we'll take everybody. We have athletes who were born in South America, but because they were born in South America and moved here, and when they were 2, raised in Toronto, we have athletes now that play for Team Canada, right?
Yeah.
We are a country. Canada and U.S. are 2 countries that have understood that we want everyone's feedback, because so many different people and countries and nations and all that stuff are good. This is why DEI and all that stuff are good things, because we get different people's perspectives.
Yeah.
And that helps us gain knowledge and move and be progressive and all that other stuff to help achieve.
Yeah.
So and I feel Canada's still hanging on, but I mean, I think we have that American creep a little bit, but I feel like the United States has lost who they are. And what that is that they are a nation of immigrants, originally colonizers, but a nation of immigrants, where it was like, hey, we are Italian, we are French, we are German, we are Asian, we are African, and we are indigenous.
Right.
And we can all have our perspectives and come up with ideas and make this great country, right? And Canada was kind of the same to a different, but with slightly different mentalities. The thing is that concept is one world order.
Yeah,
it really is. Let's take everybody and work together.
It's actual republicanism.
Yeah.
At its extreme, where it's like the elites will rule, and that's going to be it. And that's where we see the tech oligarchs coming into play here, because that plays into Andreessen and Musk and the rest of them. They all have this idea that that the engineers, the technologists will run it. That's part of the challenge with the economic model that we see starting to come into the States and Canada, around the world, is technofeudalism. So I don't know if you've heard that term.
No,
I've never heard that, yeah.
So technofeudalism was coined by Yanis Varoufakis, who is the former Greek economic finance minister who managed Greece's economy through the 2008 financial crisis. Quite a brilliant man. And he's written a book on it called Technofeudalism, but it's the idea of rentierism. So think about all the software that you have today. Do you buy software like we used to go and buy a software CD?
Subscription-based society.
AOL.
Right? AOL, right? Even BMW came out. If you wanted heated seats in your BMW, you had to pay a subscription fee to turn them on.
Oh, God.
And the backlash was so massive. Even if you drive a Tesla today, you have to pay subscription fees to keep your software updated. Otherwise, you get an old-style car that can't do as much. So what they're doing is figuring out how to charge us for everything. It's a rentier economy, much like feudalism was, tying it up, and we pay rent. and we're no longer paying. We're no longer buying things. We're renting things.
Yeah, I mean, you notice that with digital licenses now, when you're buying movies and you have it in your, maybe you do your collection on your Apple store or whatever, right? It's like you just can't really take that film over to a friend's house the same way, or it's a much more challenging environment. What happens? And this year, Microsoft dropped their movies and TVs app, right?
Yeah.
So they were on the Xbox. They dropped it.
Oh.
Now, I don't think I had a couple things on there, nothing that I was really too concerned about. If a cheap movie was on once or twice, I might have bought one. But those movies now can only be watched on an Xbox that's in one room of the house. And there's no outside way to watch that, so it's almost useless. And that Xbox is going to be old in a few years and probably never,
It'll die out or won't.
Die out.
The storage system won't work.
And sure, I can get a Microsoft laptop maybe, but I don't use Microsoft laptops.
Right.
So it's like pretty much when that Xbox fades away, so does those movies that I purchased.
That's the rentier
with no
economy,
ownership.
Right?
Yeah.
And you think, you buy a movie on Apple or something, and you think, well, now I own the movie, but you don't.
No.
And what if Apple goes out of business?
Yeah, exactly.
They shut down. What if the company that you upload your brain to goes out of business? What's your human right?
Oh, so did you see the? Do you watch Black Mirror?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, I love Black Mirror. It's one of my favorite.
Yeah, kind of freaks me out sometimes.
It does, but I imagine this would be like right up your alley kind of thing, though. One of the more recent season where they had a subscription base for the lady who had that brain problem, and it was basically, I don't know if you saw it, but it had basically a subscription. It was almost like a Netflix subscription. She had something wrong with her, and they could fix her. You just had to upload, like, we'll put a chip in her, and then we'll fix it.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, it was $100 a month to do this, right?
Yeah.
Great. But then what happens is that, subscriptions go up like they do with Netflix and those other streamings, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, now, if you want to, you can have the $100 a month, but, she's going to have commercials. So literally she's in there having a conversation, and out of nowhere, she'll just be like, Tampax is the best, blah, 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 whatever, right? And it's like, what the hell is going on?
Oh, my God.
Or you go in and say like, hey, I don't want my wife to just start talking about Tampax in the middle of a conversation of like, whatever, dinner, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, no problem. You know what? You just upgrade to the ad-free version for $1,000 a month. And basically, like, it got to the point where it was unaffordable to keep his wife alive. And he had to choose basically between like unplugging his wife and like basically working 6 jobs.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's technofeudalism. It's a rentier economy.
Sounds lovely. Yeah,
it does. And that's one of the things we're having to figure out is what are the economic models that work in a digital world? So we all have our devices and we all need to connect to these things.
And you see these companies, they get bigger and bigger and bigger. Nobody stops them. Netflix buys HBO.
Yeah.
Right?
No, not HBO.
Massive.
Warner Brothers.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But that's HBO, CNN, that's a whole bunch
Massive
of stuff.
consolidation.
Right? And you see it even with the CTV now has CTV. If you actually look with the Crave app, there's like 9 different channels, within the Crave app, plus all this other stuff. And it's like, oh my gosh, right?
Yeah.
Consolidation.
And some of them that you pay more. It drives me bonkers with Amazon is that, I have the subscription. Well, if I want to get a TV show that's run by City TV, you got to pay extra for that.
Yeah. Or you had to pay more for ad free now. It was like an ad on last year, right? It's like just like Black Mirror. Like it is getting to a point where it's ridiculous.
You have to pay a subscription to City TV, plus they still give you ads. You can't. There's no ad free version of City TV.
And that's probably where we'll see a lot of things go.
See, this thing that's frustrating. And I understand, like, Netflix does original content, Disney does original content, Crave does original content. Like, Crave is great because Crave, I mean, props to Crave, done a lot of bit of, like, research about them, about how, I mean, they're owned by Bell, but they really heavily contribute to, because they're a Canadian streaming service.
Yeah, so they have to because of CRTC and the cable guidelines.
Yeah, they do, but even still, though, they really do a great job. Like, I will give them credit to that.
Yeah.
Like, we got it, and my wife loves it because, I mean, she's from Quebec, and they have a ton of Quebec shows that she's, like, gets to watch now because of it.
Yeah.
They invest in Canadian film and television heavily because they need to create that content.
That's a good thing, and we need a lot of that. We need a lot more of that.
So I actually really give props to them, right? Yeah. But that being said, you have the Tubies of the world, which is free to download, but you're going to suffer through some commercials.
Yep. Yeah.
And I mean, like, more of that, please, though. Like, honestly.
Yeah.
Sure.
it's everybody's pirating, everybody's stealing, it's copywriting. It's it's a challenging environment. There's so much that you can put on for DMs, but we have to figure out how to regulate. What we haven't done is figured out the norms and regulations and stuff that we do in the real world and translated them to the digital world. And that's part of the challenge. We've put in, but also digital rights management, DRM, that came out. That's also stopping a lot of content from being produced because then it puts restrictions on regions and what you can and cannot access.
Yeah.
And if the DRM changes on the movie that you bought 2 years ago, and now it's moved over to another company and they don't have to honor your license.
Exactly. And again, it's a pain in the butt for them to do all that stuff too on their end. Like, imagine how painstaking that would be if we had to incorporate all these other users and all these other profiles and all this stuff and incorporate their needs. And it just makes it more challenging.
That being said, I'm actually like surprised at how there's a lot of VPN companies popping up, and I'm surprised they're like borderline legal.
They should not be legal.
Like,
they're
it's
terrible.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you can just bounce around to anywhere.
Yeah, and they're tracking you, and they're selling your data to advertisers.
Yeah.
And they're selling it to third-party companies that are aggregating all that data and then selling it off again. So
but are there good VPN companies? Are there ones that don't do that?
There are a couple. The only one I know that doesn't do it for sure is NordVPN.
Okay.
But they're a bit risky. The better ones
How are they risky? Like, in what way? I guess
they're a little unclear on their terms of service and how they're using your data.
Oh,
so they can still collect your data. They know who you are.
Yes,
so any VPN company knows who you are.
Yeah.
And that can be tracked and sold.
Right.
But they're a little bit better. Some of them, like the big names that sell the VPNs, they're usually good from the West. But like these Chinese ones and stuff, they're putting spyware onto your machine. Like, that's data that's going back to the Chinese government. They're used by espionage units, the North Koreans, the Russians, the Chinese. Yeah.
See, like we have like, I always wonder if it's a VPN or if it's like someone legit. We have one hit on almost every episode of our podcast from Russia.
Huh.
And I'm like,
it could just be one guy that likes the show.
It could be one guy from Russia likes the show, or
if you're listening, guy, please send us an email. Tell us where you're at. We'll send you an afternoon pint hat and sweater.
Can
we send stuff to Russia?
I don't know, but I will say this message. By the way, the rest of the world doesn't like your president.
Yeah. Just
okay.
I got invited to speak at a conference in Moscow.
Oh, cool.
Last year in early December.
No way.
And they offered to pay for me to go and all the rest of it. And, they cover my flights and hotel room and all the rest of it. And it's like, oh, man.
What was your hesitation?
It's Russia. I mean, I hate what they're doing to Ukraine. It's a dictator, and so my ethics, my morals came in, and I was like,
can't do that.
And I can't do that. And it's
I mean, there's a lot of Canadians now. Same with America, right? We're not going this year.
Well, I was supposed to go speak in Boston.
Yeah,
and so.
That's the safe state.
That's a safe state.
That's the best state
Boston.
right now.
And I talked with their lawyer and my lawyer, and given the nature of some of the content that I write, which is geopolitical, and they kind of assessed my social media feed, and they said, "Don't."
Yeah.
Wow.
They said, "We advise you not to go."
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and that, like I said, that's the only state that is 100% blue.
Is it really?
Yeah.
So this is something I read recently. Massachusetts is the only state that have 100% voted blue, and they are first or second in every major category with healthcare, education, and like all that stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the only state that voted all red is Oklahoma, and they are basically second or last in every one of those categories.
Yeah.
Wow. Take it how you wish.
Bizarre, isn't it?
Take it how you wish.
Well, interesting.
But that is a fact that came out that they produced it out, and it's like, and these are like independent rankings and something that they put through. So the one state that voted all red is second last or last in every, like, the top 5 categories of education and healthcare and all the other things that you like, quality of life and whatever, right?
Yeah.
And the only state that voted all blue is second or first.
So were they already that way, and did they flip red? Do you know? Like, were they suffering when they were a blue state, or were they always a red state?
They're pretty consistently that.
Yeah,
okay.
Oklahoma, they are. Those two states.
I just don't know much about
Massachusetts has always been a bit more, oddly enough, socialist, but most of their ideas come out of Europe. Right. And New England, that's why New England is so much the way it is, and is because it's more moderate people. That it was the libertarians that moved out west, and everybody who said, I don't like you, and hell with the English and all the rest of it.
They also have the Red Sox and the Patriots.
What time did you have you had another speaking event, I believe. Did you say it was at 6:15?
No. I have to leave by 6:15.
You have to leave by 6:15? Okay, so Matt, I think we should still, we could do maybe one more topic, but we've got to get into John's 10 questions.
We got to get the 10 questions in for sure.
Because this is the fun bit of our show. So let's just see here really quick. We got... Yeah, we'll just go into the 10 questions. We covered a lot.
Yeah. Let's do the 10 questions because you know what? There's a lot in there in the 10 questions that we can talk about. So
awesome. Cool. So
want to start with number 1?
10 questions. Let's go. Matt, you did a great job writing these. Yeah, Matt and I take turns writing the 10 questions, and I just had a glance at them. So these were great ones. So awesome. I'll read number 1. What's something you believed for way too long that turned out to be completely wrong?
Oh, boy. From my anthropology perspective, I guess.
From any perspective,
anything. No, it doesn't matter. Anything.
You can throw anything out the window. Just talk about what you're thinking.
I always thought human rights came out of the Age of Enlightenment in France, and I learned that most of it comes out from the Mi'kmaq community here in Nova Scotia.
No way.
That's the origin of human rights. Yeah, here in the Algonquian tribes.
No freaking way.
Yeah. That just blew my mind. I'm still processing this like 2 years.
Okay,
later.
You just blew my mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I never thought it was the French because, it's the French.
Yeah,
but
no, they stole it from the Mi'kmaq and the Algonquians.
Go Nova Scotia.
There you
Let's
go.
go. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 2. What's a hill that you're willing to die on, but over something totally unimportant?
Oh, boy. I like Star Wars better than Star Trek.
All right. Cool.
I also like Star Wars. So you're in good company.
I totally agree. I think it's way better.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think it's more fun.
I just enjoy it.
I think the idea of Star Trek is better.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I would love to live that lifestyle.
Sure. It's good thinking stuff, right?
Great.
It is great.
It just, for some reason, just seems like, meh.
This is not as fun.
It's not.
Star Wars is fun.
Darth Vader is probably the greatest villain in history.
It's true. Yeah.
Number 3, over to you.
Okay. What's the weirdest compliment you've ever received?
Boy,
these are weird questions. They're fun by design.
I don't know. It's kind of people tell me I have a good voice for radio and for stuff, and
I totally think you do. Yeah,
you do have a good voice. At least I didn't have a face for radio.
Oh, don't have a face for radio. I do have a face for radio. Absolutely.
Question number 4. So, if you could swap lives with someone for 24 hours, who would it be?
Yuval Harari.
Okay, why?
Because I think he's absolutely brilliant. He's an interesting way of looking at the world. And his perspectives are really interesting. Yeah.
All right.
Him or Rory Thompson. Or Rory Sutherland, I mean.
Roy, okay.
That's an interesting picks, man. I'd like go be a rock star for a day or something, Hip hop idol.
I don't know. They just be stoned all the time.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I could do that at all.
Couldn't remember it. Right? Exactly.
I think I'd pick something I'd pick someone who's extremely important so I could get all the intel.
Okay.
Right? If I could switch with and this is going to sound terrible, but if I could switch lives with Donald Trump for 24 hours, that'd be awesome. Because then all of a sudden I could just go to Area 51, go and leak all the cool secrets. I just let the Epstein files flow.
Only thing is he has dementia and he doesn't know what he's thinking about. So
fair enough.
He would not remember anything.
All right, so maybe it's J.D. Vance. I don't know.
But we want to take J.D.
I would basically create a dumpster fire
in a day.
Number 5, over to you.
5. Okay. How has anonymity changed social norms and accountability?
On social.
Yeah.
How has anonymity changed social norms and accountability? So everyone's posting as anonymous these days on
yeah, they are. So when we don't have identity, we don't feel that we have to behave in a way that we do in the real world.
Yeah.
So in the real world, we have to face each other, look at each other, we got to talk to each other, and so
something to be said about punch in the face. Eh?
There is, right, and 98% of our communication is nonverbal. right, with emotions and movements and stuff.
Yeah.
So anonymity means that you can do whatever you want, say whatever you want, and that's led to this crisis of misinformation and disinformation.
I like that.
Trust. You know who to trust when. No.
Trust.
Number 6. So what digital behavior today will future anthropologists find the most troubling?
I think you just said it. Misinformation?
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it.
I think it's more behavioral. I think it's misinformation. Absolutely. They'll find it fascinating. I think what they'll try to figure out is why we didn't translate our cultural norms and values in the real world into the digital world fast enough.
Okay.
Why do we just let everything go rampant on the internet?
I think energy will be one too. They'll be like, "How you idiots? You had a son."
Yeah,
It's like
right.
staring at you since the beginning of your existence.
The tides.
Tides, right?
Like, you get all this free energy,
Wind
you dummies,
stuff flowing
and you're
around.
digging holes in the ground.
I know.
You don't
Sucking
need to
out
do that.
carbons.
You've proved ways around this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 7, over to you.
Okay. Are we losing anything fundamentally human as our lives move more online? I think that's a yes.
Yeah. We're losing, but we're also gaining because of cultural transmission, we're able to learn about each other better. So I think it's not that we're losing. I think it's more that we're changing. We're evolving in different ways. You know, we say that AI is going to make us stupid. It's not. It's just going to make us different.
Yeah.
So we're going to be different. And I don't know, will we look back and lament that we've lost something? Sometimes, because we always do. That's why we have nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I think we're just going to evolve differently.
Okay.
All right.
My turn?
No, it's mine.
Okay.
What's your opinion on AI music?
Don't like it.
Don't like it? Did you hear like the soul singings of 50 Cent singing Many Men? That's
I
really
did.
good.
And then I found another song that I thought was really cool because I like alternative rock and stuff.
Yeah.
And and sort of 80s new wave. And there was one that sounded so like it, and I'm like, there's just something wrong here.
It just doesn't hit the same way as those. It's the imperfections that make music perfect.
It really
and,
is.
Yes.
It's hard to nail an imperfection.
I call it the uncanny cognitive valley.
Yeah. I mean, music's just a space in between notes. So like the more that's just a little bit off and when it
I
hits
actually
just right.
have not listened to AI music at all.
Yeah.
I know there's some out there, and there's some things, and I know it was like kind of a big thing. And it actually hit like at one point, like hit like top of the charts
Yeah, there
and
was
stuff like that.
top country music song.
Yeah, country song,
AI.
whatever.
Yeah.
I haven't taken the time to actually sit and like listen to it yet, so I really don't have an opinion on it. That being said, I mean, I don't know. I think I'm divided because on one hand, I kind of feel like I like real like musicians and artists and people who like sing and people who play the
live music.
I don't know if people will hate this or not, but I don't give the same credit or respect or whatever word you want to use for it to digital music.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whether it be I'm a DJ, like these DJs that travel the world and they're like,
God, you're going on everybody today.
Yeah.
Just no,
you're going on everybody.
No, you're done. You're not talking about
Look back
people
at
that bad today.
that Beatles documentary. And they had that moment where Paul McCartney starts to do the riff of Get Back.
Right. I did watch that.
And it's like, that's a moment in history.
Yeah.
And you're watching a mind interacting with a machine.
Figuring something out for the first time. It's really cool watching my kid learn how to play guitar.
Yeah,
and then they come back and they're like way better at it. 'Cause,
Yeah.
you know, she doesn't openly come and play for me. I'm basically got to say, hey, man, what are you working on? Like, you know?
Right.
And, but she's getting awesome.
And it's,
Right?
Yeah.
And it's so cool to see 1 year from when she could barely hit that chord to like, you know, now making these much more complex sounds.
versus
right?
I hid in my basement on a computer.
But also,
and
synthetic music's fun as hell.
I'm not saying it's not fun. I'm not saying it's not fun.
Love it.
My only thing is like, I mean, like, I'm not talking like a DJ at a wedding. Like, we need those. I'm just saying like,
He hates
people,
DJs.
No.
He hates Donald Trump.
No,
I do.
I do hate him.
He hates
That's not too hard
Elon
to
Musk.
do.
But my thing is like people go to like concerts and they pay like $200 as if they were going to go see like, you know, Bon Jovi play a concert with, you know, with AC/DC or something.
I'm just saying, Matt, the foundation of this show is bringing people together. We got to stop talking bad about people, even if we don't agree with anything that they do, right? Even if we don't agree with a single decision that they make, we got to say, okay, that's
you're right. No,
That's
you're
a them
right.
problem, right?
Yeah,
DJs are so fun.
Oh,
They're fun.
I used to DJ in the 80s.
I'm not saying they're not fun.
I'm just messing with you, man.
I
I'm
used to
sorry.
spin records in the 80s.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's the non-alcohol beers, man. I'm getting a little foolish.
It's getting
It's getting to me.
the non-alcohol. There's
really
something else in
this
it.
just had something in it. Yeah. But anyways, sorry, I'll stop.
No,
We'll get
it's
back
all
to the
good.
questions. What one are we at?
Number 9. It's over to you.
Okay. How do digital spaces change power dynamics? Who gets a voice and who doesn't?
Oh, yeah, that's such a good question. It's something I research a lot. So, unfortunately, I had to do work into the manosphere and the red pill movement last year.
Okay.
And that was an interesting look at power dynamics because most of that red pill movement, it starts out very innocent, athletic clubs and all coming, you're going to get fit and you're going to be a better, stronger man. But they slowly suck you into this sort of fascist far-right ideology and misogyny.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
It's really hard to do the research on. So that changes the power dynamic. Now you've got someone else that's, having power over these kids that normally a culture has, a society had, like parents have and the community has. Well, now that's being given over to somebody that they don't even know, and they're getting sucked into that. Conversely, there's some other interesting power dynamics that's not as bad, and one of them is around fintech and financial technology.
Yeah.
And what usually happens in a culture is that the older generation tells the younger generation what to do and what's going on and pull them up. But now you've got the younger generation training the older generation how to use these fintech products.
Huh. Okay. Yeah.
So that's a very different dynamic, power dynamic and twist. So yeah, that's just two examples.
How does that end? Whoops. I'm sorry, I was wrong. Yeah. Okay.
Question number 10.
There we go.
So, if future anthropologists, archaeologists studied TikTok the way they studied cave paintings, what would they conclude about us?
Well, there'd be a rich mine of cultural stuff, but I think they conclude that we were absolutely bonkers and we were all nutters and what the hell were we doing with our time?
Fair.
But they'd also get some really interesting insights into how society was shifting and accepting technologies and adopting technologies and doing the stuff that they do. So I think they'd actually get some really useful insights and probably a shift in how we relate to animals and other humans and stuff.
Fascinated with the corgis.
Yeah.
Cool dogs. Pretty cool dogs.
Yeah.
I don't use TikTok, won't use it because of its data collection. But yeah, it'd be a fascinating insight. But that's all. They'd also recognize that that's only the surface of culture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a great answer.
Absolutely.
We do our ender questions. We call this last call. So cheers to you.
Cheers.
And this was great. Please come back. We want you back for round 3.
Oh, lovely.
Before we do last call, I should ask, what are you, where can people find your work? I mean, a lot of people are listening to this, hopefully, and probably getting a ton of tremendous insights. Where can they find you on Substack?
Yeah, I'm on Substack, gilescrouch.substack.com. Just Google my name and you'll find my website, gilescrouch.com.
Do you do speeches? Keynotes, presentations?
I do keynotes. Last year I did over 90 media interviews.
Wow.
And I did a bunch of speaking engagements and stuff. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. It's
a career in professional speaking. You're very good at it, though.
Yeah, I'd like to do more professional speaking, actually. The pandemic kind of put a bit of a kibosh on it. And then trying to do other stuff.
I think there's a need for that now more than ever, right? Getting in front of people and talking and sharing ideas and communicating when a lot of people aren't sure about all this crazy stuff that's happening in the world every day.
Real life stuff. That's what we want. Yeah.
So sorry, last call is basically we just ask every guest, what's one piece of advice you were given in your lifetime that you'd like to pass along to us and our listeners today?
Well, I was thinking about this the other day because I was thinking about the AI tech hype cycles and all the rest of it and why it's there. And it's a saying that's stuck with me for decades now. If at first you can't find a solution to the problem, look for the financial interest.
Oh,
there you go.
That's a unique one.
Yeah,
that's great. We've been asking this question for like a year-ish.
Okay.
And that's a new one.
That's a new one. Yeah. Well, cheers to you, Giles. This has been fantastic.
Cheers, lads. Thank you very much. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good stuff.